Hello, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and I want to thank all of our keynote speakers, expert moderators, panelists, and solutions sponsors for participating in this year's Insight Jam Live. This has been a big year with the launch of the InsightJam.com community site and the amazing growth of the Insight Jam YouTube channel, which now has over 500,000 subscribers. Much of this success is tied directly to the video events, podcasts, and panel discussions we have been producing, and none of that would be possible without the thoughtful participation of the many IT professionals who are generously sharing their expert insights for this latest jam. We are building Insight Jam to be a place to celebrate enterprise technology with best practices, expert analysis, and solution showcases. And we want all of you to join us there to keep the jam going into the new year and beyond. If you haven't joined Insight Jam, please do. And if you already have, take a moment to invite some of your colleagues. And again, thank you all for being here and enjoy this event.
Solutions Review presents the Insight Jam Expert Keynote.
Hello everyone, my name is Nandan Mulakira. I'll be talking to you about AI agents, which is the next big thing in technology. So about myself, I've been working on AI and automation for a decade now. I have been implementing automation projects, helping people discover use cases, implement automation with AI in their projects. And right now I run Bot Nirvana, which is a community for AI and automation leaders to help them discover what's next with AI and automation. So let's start with AI agents. As I said, AI agents is the next big thing in technology. It's going to transform the digital transformation landscape as we know it. From apps to integrations to automations, you name it, it's going to change everything. It's going to be a huge shift in the technology landscape. So let's talk about it today. So we'll look at 4 key things today. First, we'll start by understanding what are AI agents, how they will change the technology landscape as we know it. And then we'll talk about some current challenges that we see. And finally, we'll see why this is a big tens of trillions of dollars of opportunity. So let's get started. First, what are AI agents? AI agents is the next evolution of AI powered by large language models. So you must have seen the rise of ChatGPT, and we are talking of AI agents as the next evolution of that. So if you look at this evolution, first we start with ChatGPT as we know it, and that we started around, ChatGPT was released around November 2022. But this journey with this new AI, which is so powerful, started a bit earlier. Somewhere in 2020 is when we had our first breakthrough with ChatGPT 3, which is when we discovered that these AI models with machine learning, when you give it a lot of information and with the advancement of hardware, especially GPUs, was starting to give coherent, intelligent answers. So now AI has had a long history, right? It started with rule-based AI, then machine learning, then deep learning, and then we came into this. So I'm starting from this phase, which I'm calling as this post-chat GPT phase. So we started with GPT, and then the chat GPT came in November 22, as we saw, and that was a huge hit. Most of you might have seen it. It reached million users in 5 days and around 100 million users by around 2.5 months. So it's one of the actually, it is the fastest growing consumer app technology. And from ChatGPT, once people started using it, one of the things you must have discovered too is that ChatGPT gives you intelligent responses, but sometimes can go awry in terms of what the responses it gives. It basically can give you wrong answers and what's called as hallucination, because it's like that sales agent who knows things but also can make up things, right? And very confidently, and you wouldn't know that it is a wrong answer. So that hallucination, to get over it, is what people started giving it some context. You see, it's taking all this information from this world's library and giving you this information, right? Now what if we give it the specific context, right? So supposing you want a specific answer, let's say on a manufacturing technology, you want to give it that specific book or like a few set of books which is focused on manufacturing and probably that particular topic in manufacturing. That is what is called as retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, which is what we've been working with in the last year in 2023, which has been helpful in reducing the hallucination with AI. Now, fast forward to today, we have started seeing AI agents everywhere. You must have seen Microsoft has released AI agents, Salesforce has got AI agents. Everyone is releasing AI agents. So what is AI agents? AI agents is basically an autonomous AI that's capable of understanding the environment and then plan its actions and take actions towards a specific goal, right? So we'll look at what an AI agent is so that you understand it better. But suffice to say is that supposing ChatGPT is somewhere you were getting good information. So supposing you're planning a travel to a business or a business travel to a city, and then you can give it the city name, you can give it more information like about yourself, what are your preferences, and it can give you a good itinerary. For example, I was planning a trip to Hawaii and it still gives you a great itinerary. Now, what if an AI can not just plan your itinerary? And second thing, we talked about drag. So what if for this itinerary, when I'm planning ChatGPT, if I give it a PDF document of the flight details, like my Hawaii flight details, and it could enhance that itinerary, knowing my exact time of arrival and where I'm staying, the hotel, and things like that, right? So that is what is called as RAG. But that's a great advancement. But what if an AI can not only give you that itinerary, but it can actually book those tickets? It can go to an airline website, let's say like Delta, and book the ticket for you. It can go to a car reservation site like Avis and then book that car for you. So just imagine, AI can not just intelligently give you responses, it can also act and do work for you, do the tasks for you. And that's what AI agents enable. So let me show you an actual live demo of how an AI agent is here in action. So here is an AI agent. This is Anthropic's computer use. We are just telling it to go to a website, in this case Anthropic, and look at my resume on my desktop, and then apply for jobs. So it figures out that, okay, I am on the desktop. It takes a screenshot. It looks at the resume. Oh yeah, let me open that resume. It has opened that resume. And now it's basically looking at, okay, now you want me to look at Anthropic and the job sites. So let me go to the website. It went to the website. It found a link for where you can apply for careers or jobs. And then it's pulling up that page right now. You can see that it's gone to the career page. And then it sees a button. So it says, let me take a screenshot and see what are the positions available, right? And then it basically will click on the button. See, you can see it's clicking on the button there, and it's seeing the positions available. Now, within these positions, having looked at the resume, it want to understand which are the job areas you are fit for. It says core engineering seems to be an area. So it clicks on core engineering. And then now it finds within core engineering, there are 2 roles. And so it says, okay, looks like from the resume that we have, your senior software engineer is probably a good role for this resume. It looks at that senior software engineer resume job description, and it says, okay, yeah, now I see an apply now button there. So let me click on the apply now button, and probably I can apply for the job. So it just goes there, and you see it's clicking on that button now, and then it's come across a form now, and then it says, okay, looks like I can apply for the job here, and then it goes back and looks at the resume, takes up the information like the first name, the last name, and the email. And now it's going to take that information, and it's filling it out right now with the name, email, and things like that. So as you can see, the AI has not only, I'm having a conversation with it, and it's basically, I told it a prompt. It planned the activity, it understood what it need to do from its environment, taking screenshots, and it's also taking action in terms of applying for a job, clicking through finding a job and applying for a job. So basically, there you have it. That's an AI agent. And this is the latest AI computer use from Anthropic. So this basically shows you how an AI can act in the world. And that's what makes AI agents special. So what makes AI agents? There are three key things we need to look at. And we'll go through that each one by one, and we'll relate back to what we saw, right? So an agent, if you look at the right, has got this planning capability, right? So the planning capability is what helped it understand that, okay, this person has got this resume on this computer, so let me look up the jobs. Let me go look up what all jobs are available for this particular resume. So it's basically planning each step. And so it basically does what's called as a sub-goal decomposition. So it's looking at each of the tasks and carrying out the tasks, right? And we'll look at one more example so that this becomes more concrete for you, a more practical example, which is for an enterprise scenario. We'll look at that, right? But basically, it is planning its steps. That's one key thing. And this planning comes from the LLM or large language models, which is nothing but ChatGPT, but it's developing a reasoning capability. Now, the reasoning capability is still in the works. It's still a evolving phenomena, right? Something researchers are still working on. It's basically not fully there yet. But if you look at the latest model actually from OpenAI, which is called O1, and they have released O1 preview right now, is basically what it is doing is reasoning. And all the large language models, whether it's OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, Google Gemini is also coming up here with Jarvis, which would be something similar to what I just now showed you. So these models are developing reasoning. That's what helps them. That's what helps them plan, right? And so there's a planning aspect. The second aspect you saw is the tools aspect. So it's taking screenshot, it's doing that visual reasoning, it's using a visual tool to understand its environment. It's looking at the environment and then seeing what tools I have, like for example, a PDF opener. So that's how it could open that resume in a PDF. It has a browser, so it can browse the internet. You can add things like opening your calendar. So there are, basically AI can interact with tools. So it has a planning capability, tools, and to add to that, it has got a memory capability. And a memory capability is basically remembering things. Like it could remember that, this person is good for software engineering, right? For example. And there are two aspects of memory, short-term memory and a long-term memory. A short-term memory is within this transaction, and a long-term memory is across transactions. It can learn and evolve and adapt. Now, this memory is also something as a work in progress, and we'll get better at it as we go. But an AI agent is nothing but an LLM or a large language model with these three capabilities, right? Reasoning capability, ability to use tools, and the memory. So that's AI agent for you. So now that we have looked and understood at what an AI agent is and what its capabilities are, so let's see how AI agents is going to change the technology landscape today as we know it. So as I said earlier, it's going to basically change everything that we know. And that's because we are moving from what I'm calling as a deterministic model to a non-deterministic model, right? So let me explain that. So as of now, we need to do explicit programming for our computers. And you know that, right? Even today. So if we need to do anything, we need to define the things using if, then, else programming. So it's basically explicitly we're telling the computer what we want it to do. It's a lot of lines of code and it's some rigid workflows, but we know what we are going to get, right? It is very deterministic. And whether we take mainframes or Java or C++, or even this low-code programmings like RPA or BPM or even no-code programming, we're explicitly telling the computer what to do. But as we saw in that previous demo, all we just told the computer is that here is a resume, please apply for jobs on this website, right? And so what did we do? We actually basically just gave it an intent, right? We just gave it a prompt, what is called as a prompt. And so what happens is that we are letting AI do the work, right? But then it is non-deterministic. We don't know what the AI would come back with. So as I was doing so many of this experimentation with the agent, many times it would just, get it wrong, be stuck somewhere, and we need to basically work with it in terms of giving it inputs, giving it right prompts. But then we are getting at it from I would say from the other side, in the terms of there is an AI here. How can I work with this AI rather than telling AI what to do, right? So now the advantages of uh, the AI doing the thing or doing the work is that it's not a rigid workflow, right? And it's not limited by the architect or developer's imagination. See, when you're doing deterministic programming or coding, we actually coding or telling the computer what to do or giving it a workflow. It's a rigid workflow. Whereas in this world where it's non-deterministic, where AI is doing the work, it figures things out. And so the good thing is that there can be like hundreds of solutions for the same thing, and AI, due to its large capacity, processing capacity, can figure out what is the best workflow there. The only thing is we need to ensure that the AI is working within certain guidelines and guidelines and parameters, which we'll talk about, but also that we want to validate what the AI is doing is right. So we are basically validating the AI, helping it learn, and then let it do the work. So I want to give you show you another example. This is an example I ran. As I said, I'll show you this thing about an enterprise thing. So here, what we're doing is invoice processing. I've given it a PDF invoice, and then I'm giving it a prompt to extract the data from the PDF. And I'm telling it what data to extract, like what is the total due, and then I'm telling it to create a new spreadsheet and put the data in that spreadsheet. So the agent has started running here. And then first you can see that it has come up with a plan. You see it's come up with a plan like, let me do this. Let's read the PDF, then extract the required information, create a spreadsheet. So it's created a plan for itself, the planning capability that we just spoke about for an AI agent, right? And then it's using a tool. So you can see here it's saying tool use bash, which is basically it's using a terminal. It's using a Unix terminal to send commands. So it's using a tool. So you can see the second capability of tool. So let's see as it's read the invoice. It's read the invoice PDF, and then it's actually come up with this is the invoice number, this order number, this invoice date, and then it says, okay, let me tool use. Let me start a LibreChat, which is a spreadsheet application. Now. Now it's reading. So now what it sees is that it suddenly popped up some tip for the day, which is not expected. But then it understands that, oh, okay, there is some button there. Let me click on OK and then keep going, right? And then it goes on to say, okay, now I can see the computer. So now my action is to left click on a mouse and enter the data. So you see how granular it goes. And now it's adding the headers to the computer. So it's adding the headers. In this case, in this demo, it got all the headers in the first column, which was unfortunate because the prompt could have been better where it should have been in the first row. But then you'll see that it'll read all that, and then it'll put the data from the PDF into the spreadsheet. So now it's entering all this data into a spreadsheet, and this can be any application. It can put it into SAP tomorrow. If SAP is a tool that it has access to, it can put it in PeopleSoft or CRM application like Salesforce, any of those things. And now it is saving the spreadsheet like I told it, and it would save, right? So I hope you get a sense of how it is using the tools. It's and the first planning tools, and then the memory capability to execute these actions. So that's an AI agent in action. So what does this mean for us, right? So that's one of the things to understand is in my view, we are moving from the the landscape that we have now, which is applications. You take any application, whether from mainframe applications to, whether it is an ERP application or a CRM application. And then between these applications, you had to talk to each other. Many times you had many applications, they need to talk to each other. So we had integrations built in. And then recently we've been adding automations using, low code BPM or RPA, which is nothing but another integration, but it's more of an automation in terms of doing tasks for you. Now, what we will be moving to is from this, which is a deterministic world where we were doing the coding, building the apps, building the integration, building the automation, telling it step by step what it needs to do, to a world where we have an AI agent which is doing most of the work. And if you look at it today, we go through a typical software development cycle, right? Like we've got this requirements, design, and we take probably months for it. We have developers then who come in, look at this designs, do the coding. The code is then sent for testing, and then the testing is completed. Again, developer fixes these things, then it's rolled out to production, and then again it starts all over again with we having to do updates, upgrades, and then a continuous support cycle. So that's our current landscape. And then I think with AI agents, what you're doing now, and as you saw in that previous demo, is that basically we are expressing an intent in English, and then it carries out the action. So it's a general purpose technology. It cannot just do invoice processing. It can do many other tasks. It can actually process images. It can process, it did process PDF in this thing, but it can process audio. It can process video. It can process multimodal things. It can do many tasks, right? And so all this it's a general purpose technology. So it is one interface where we are giving it intent in English, and then it plans by itself and then executes the action. Now, as this action is happening, you want a change, you can change it. In future, you want a change, you can change it, and then it adapts automatically. So you see that's a big shift from this non-deterministic, deterministic ways of doing things to this new AI agent way of doing things. So the key things here is that, one, the first thing to understand in the shift in the technology landscape, I think, is that AI agents is slowly replacing the explicit programming with intent. So all you're doing is telling your intent, and you're telling this intent in English. It's not any programming language. It's basically natural language. It can be any language, by the way, not just English. But it basically, you are not programming. There is no explicit programming involved, and there is no programming language as well, because it's a natural language, right? So what that does is that it opens this technology for a larger use, right? It's more accessible to people, whether in the business, who will probably do a lot of these, intenting and even working with this AI. And there's still work that we have to do with these models that are like, you probably need to fine tune the model. You probably need to, like we spoke about, make a framework with retrieval augmented generation and all the new things that's coming up. So this to keep this AI up to date, and also, working with the AI for finer purpose. That's where probably the technology or the technology experts would come in. But you can see the digital transformation is opened up for more people now, from businesses to people working in business. It's been happening with the low code, no code phenomena, but AI will accelerate it. And so we will see a much bigger transformation towards digital, as I can see it. And so this, I think, is a revolutionary shift, and that's why I was calling this as the AI agent revolution. It's a shift. It's a revolution in how we work with technology or interact and do our work, daily work. And so this is awesome, all awesome, but we still have some challenges. And I spoke about some of them earlier, but there are two key things I think we need to think about as we move into this AI agent era. One is what I'm calling as the control paradox. You see, we spoke about deterministic versus non-deterministic. It's basically in a deterministic world, we had all the control. We were telling the computer explicitly what we wanted. And then when it gave us some output and it didn't give an output that we wanted, we would debug and find out why it's not giving the output and go ask it to give it, get it to give us the output that we want. But what happens in a non-deterministic world is that we've kind of lost the control. The AI is actually taking the input, understanding our input, planning the actions, and carrying out the actions, right? So in such a world, what happens is that we actually giving the control more to the computer, and we need to find a balance between this deterministic world and non-deterministic world, in my view, where we need to come to a place where we are giving it enough autonomy but also with enough guardrails and controls, right? So allow it to make decision, but within certain safety parameters, right? We want it to take independent actions, plan and reason and carry out actions, but within a defined boundaries. So for example, the demo that I showed you, people have used it and tested it, and then it can go and read a password, an API key, it can delete all your files. So as much as it's useful, it is also harmful unless you have the defined boundaries to it. So defining the boundaries is very, very important. And when Anthropic released computer used, the way you might have seen that, I mean, it's basically it's a sandbox that we are in, and it's only operating within the sandbox within certain tools. So what tools it has access to, what files it has access to, what actions it can perform, all those things is very important. They are not allowing you to use it on your computer because it could go and delete all your files. It could do very bad things. So it's a very powerful thing, and just like any other technology in history, it can go both ways. So since this is probably one of the most powerful technologies, we need to be at most careful about these things. So we need to ensure that there are control checkpoints as we start using this technology. The second thing is what I'm calling as the human factor, and the key thing is that people need to be first. So there's a term in AI, especially in the machine learning world and even in the automation world, which we call as human in the loop, or HITL in short. So that's awesome. And still people keep saying it's HITL that is really required. But I would like to make a distinction that it should not be a human in the loop, which makes humans second. It's AI first and humans in loop. No. Humans first. We need a human first control over this one. There are two aspects to it. One is the blind trust. So humans must be in control, and people tend to get lax as the AI, as seen in the automation world. The process completely disappear because the automation is doing it so perfectly. But then we should stop our over reliance on AI decision making, on the accepting what the automation or the AI is giving you. We should be on the lookout for the diminishing human oversight. We should have periodic audits. We should have safeguards. We should ensure that we have a regular audit mechanism. We should ensure that there is no bias. Remember, the AI is just a prediction engine. It's trained on lots of data. And all this data from the internet has a lot of biases, which even we tend to forget, but there's a lot of biases which we now know, and we should consciously get over those biases. We should ensure that there is ethical compliance from the AI, and there will be people will use it for bad, and so we should have guardrails and ways we are guarding against that. And as I said, it has to be human first, humans validating the things first, human controlling this whole thing. So I think those are the challenges. But the exciting thing is that hopefully we'll get over these challenges, and we will. And once we get over this challenge, we are talking of trillions of dollars of opportunity. And this is a clip from Sequoia Capital. I'll just play it for you quickly, and then let me explain what that is.
One of the big opportunities for AI is to replace services with software. And if that's the TAM that we're going after, the starting point is not hundreds of billions. The starting point is possibly tens of trillions. One of the opportunities for AI is...
So what he's talking about, or Sequoia is talking about, whether we take it with a grain of salt, because they are VCs and they're looking for bigger TAM that he mentioned there, or total addressable market. But the opportunity with AI agents is huge. That's what we need to understand, because now we have an AI that can reason and carry out tasks, as we saw, and that's nothing short of magic, right? So now, since the AI can carry out tasks, can plan, can carry out tasks for you, so the opportunity is huge. One is on the computer, right? Like all the service white collar jobs we were doing at the computer, all of those things can be augmented with AI agents. That's where the key word is augment. I don't think they will replace humans or people working. It's basically going to augment humans. And there could be some job cuts, but the idea is that everyone will be doing things more efficiently. We'll have more work, and so we'll have more jobs too. So in the digital world, like we saw, it will click through, it can do your work for you, right? And the same thing is happening in the physical world. We are seeing humanoids emerge, or the robots emerge, which in the physical world, just like you're looking at a screen, taking a screenshot and figuring out where to click, it now has vision capabilities, it has hearing capability, it even has smell capability. So based on these capabilities, the other day I was looking at a video where it's actually folding a shirt, doing some chores for you. So the physical world also will come up as we go along. So because the AI is intelligent enough, it can also enhance the physical robots, which we saw like at the Tesla demo. So the massive potential. So that's where that's a massive potential. The white collar jobs, even the further automation of the physical jobs. So we're talking of tens of trillions of opportunity right now, but it's basically if we can get over the challenges that we spoke about. But if we can get over the challenges, this is the biggest value creation opportunity that mankind has ever known. So with that, I want to thank you. Thanks for joining me today.
For video highlights, replays, and more, visit insightjam.com.